Mackensie Mintz is a video content creator living in Florida. She has over 1.1 million followers on TikTok and 100,000 on Instagram with an ever-growing community. She's known for her get ready with me videos, viral, trendy hair videos, and aesthetically pleasing transitions. Today, I'm joined by Mackensie. Mackensie, welcome to the Volume Up podcast. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing very well. Excited to talk to you about something I'm terrible at, which is TikTok. Mackensie, how did you get into the talk?
Well, not a super interesting story, actually.
I'm sure it is. Let's I'm sure it is. Let's go.
So, as a lot of other creators, I think we all started around the same time during quarantine, 2020-ish, when TikTok started to take off. And I was bored all the time. I was home from college, just finding something to do with my spare time. And I just started filming, and I started filming everything and just posting it. I always loved social media. Like, I always was posting stuff. So this wasn't anything new. But I think that TikTok was starting to blow up, and I just hit it right at the perfect time. And my videos started to gain traction, and I found it fun. So that's kind of how I started TikTok.
Amazing. Well, how did you realize, like, when was that point where you're like, oh, this is taken off? Because to your point, like, you already enjoyed it, you were having fun, this is what you wanted to do anyway, but then all of a sudden you started to rack up the views and followers. What was that like?
It was actually really fun, like really fun, actually. I remember being in like my college house with my friends, and we would just post silly TikToks all the time. And finally, one of them started to take off. And I remember I had purple hair at the time because my purple shampoo had turned my hair purple. And I was like, oh, you know what? It's kind of fun, like whatever. And I had watched like an episode of a show I was watching, and I came back and looked at my phone. I was like, wow, there's a lot of notifications. And I was like, this is so fun. And then I woke up the next morning to 50,000 followers on TikTok. So yeah, it blew up very fast overnight.
Wow. All right. Well, so, I mean, you are an established creator. We know that. If you weren't doing this in like a full-time capacity, what would you be doing? I mean, you mentioned college. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I graduated from Ohio State with a communications degree. So regardless of whether or not I was going to do influencing, I was going to do something along the lines of what I'm doing. So really, I had the best of both worlds. I had experience in the communication field, and now I have a degree. So I'd be doing something along the lines of social media and marketing and stuff like that.
Amazing. All right. Well, talk to us a little bit about the secret sauce to the extent that you're comfortable doing so. What is your formula? Like, how are you thinking this up? Like, what does your content planning look like? Like, I find this to be fascinating. And I know that our listeners, who are also creators in their own respects, hairstylists, makeup artists, and all of that good stuff, are curious. Like, when people are successful like this, it's not for nothing. There's thought that's gone into it. So I'd love to understand, like, what does your process look like?
So it's hard, but it's also easy at the same time. So it's not like hard work where you're like putting in all of this effort and time and hours, but you are in the respect of like, I enjoy social media. So I'm constantly scrolling on social media. Taking ideas from other people and I make them mine. So like the trends that are going on, I'll take the sound per se, like that sound is going viral. So I'll be like, oh, I've seen that sound 5 times in the last 5 minutes. I'll make a video to it. And then I fit that to the niche of my followers. So I feel like that overall is like kind of how I do it. I don't really have like one specific thing that I do. Like I kind of make my brand vague so I can fit many categories.
Smart.
Just expand my audience. But yeah, so just like being a avid social media user in itself adds a lot of value to creators, which comes with its pros and cons, obviously, but
yeah, which we're going to get into. But I'd love to talk a little bit about the niche that you just described. So how do you describe your audience? Like, what insights are you looking at in terms of understanding what they like, what they don't like? Do you feed them more of what they're accustomed to? Like, I want to understand like that relationship between creator and audience.
Yeah. So before I signed with my agency that I'm with right now, I kind of just posted whenever. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just doing it for fun, and I was accepting brand deals for fun. Like, oh, this is fun. I can make money doing this. But it got to a point when I signed with my agency, and they were like, okay, we're going to help guide you. And they kind of helped me find out what my niche was. They were like, okay, a lot of people love your hairstyles and you getting your hair done and how your hair looks. And then they love your family. So I'm like, okay, so I have like a lifestyle type vibe going on. So I'm not like a specific makeup artist. I'm not a hairstylist. I'm not a dancer, but I do a little bit of everything. So it's lifestyle. I would kind of my niche.
Okay, cool. When you're thinking through now, you talked about an agency rep and brand deals. What has been the request most often from you in terms of like what you're working on in partnership with brands?
A lot of it. So it honestly varies.
Yeah.
I do a lot of smaller brand deals with like fashion companies, like clothing brands. Those are easy to find because everyone loves that, and it's super vague. Anyone can put on clothes and promote it. So that is I get those a lot. And then I want to start, and I kind of am starting to reach the beauty aspect of it. So like I'm starting to work with skincare and hair brands and stuff like that, like sunscreen brands, to just like broaden that aspect instead of just focusing on fashion, which a lot of creators already do, and they're great at it. And that's not so much my niche. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I'm a fashion girl when I love clothes, but that's not my passion. So I'm trying to just, put my foot in every aspect and see like what fits best, what my audience likes best, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes total sense. And as actually a beautiful segue into what we wanted to talk about, and you sort of mentioned, which is the sort of pros and cons. So we know that TikTok has had a tremendous impact on the beauty industry and the way that we as consumers are interacting with beauty brands, hair brands, the like. What are your thoughts about that? Like as a creator, but also someone who consumes social media content, like what is your relationship to the beauty industry and social content creation?
It's really funny because being an influencer, I'm easily influenced myself. So
That's honest. I love that.
Yeah, and I find it really fascinating and like how smart brands are in the way that they market and the people that they pick to market with them. I know I'll see something, I'm like, wow, I really like that, or I like the way her hair looks, and I'll look on her account and I'll look and see what products she uses. And that is where I think the like TikTok aspect has taken over the media of marketing for every brand. And it's just smart. And I think that now I go and I look on TikTok for like answers. I don't look at Google. So I think that truly TikTok and social media in general has just taken over the marketing, and people trust it, and they trust like the true genuine answers that people have to brands and products, which has made it more real versus just commercials you see on TV or stuff like that.
Yeah, well put. Well, we obviously connected via a trend that has taken over the talk as well as other places, which is the Vanilla Girl trend. What are your thoughts? I mean, like as being someone who is very much associated with this trend, what are your thoughts? What do you like? What do you dislike? How do you feel about it?
So the way that I came about, categorizing myself as that was actually through my stylist. So I've been going to her forever. She's been doing my hair for so many years. And I've like kind of grown close with her. So I trust her opinion on things. And she's like, you know what? I think we should do this shade blonde, blah, blah, blah. And I want you to wear neutral colors when you come get your hair done. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like, I love that. I love neutrals. I'm always wearing, beige, white, browns. Like that's my favorite. The clean girl look too as well. So she brought it to my attention and she's like, you know what? Like this is going to fit perfect for like the vanilla girl aesthetic. And I was like, what's that? And so she explained what it was to me. And then this was like months ago. And so then now I've just kind of embraced the fact that that's what I like. That's what I enjoy. Just a super clean aesthetic. Not so much like, I guess Vanilla Girl is just basic in some capacity of clothes, like just basic clothes, like not super crazy prints, super crazy patterns. And yeah, so I just was like, okay, I like that. And I just rolled with it. And now people connected with me. They're like, oh yeah, I like that too. And like the whole, just like basic wardrobe that you can, make so many outfits out of basic pieces that everyone should have in their closet. So that's kind of what I take from the Vanilla Girl aesthetic. There's obviously other people's opinions on what it is, but that's mine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no. And we think it's very fun. So there's stuff that we've written about on the site, which is again how we connected, and lots of application for our salon professional industry, in terms of how to interpret it for hair. So talking about trend and aesthetic, as a content creator that's going through and seeing stuff where you're like, oh, I like that. I would imagine there's some stuff that you don't like. Are there any trends, challenges, etc., where you're just like, I don't understand how that was a thing. I would never do that. I regret doing that.
So it's actually funny. I'm always looking for trends, and I get bored with like my hair and like my outfits. Like I'm always looking for something to spice it up.
Yep.
But the one trend that was going along for a while was the bleached eyebrows, and I remember I was like, should I do that? And I remember everyone was like, absolutely not. Do not bleach your eyebrows. I'm like, it looks cool on other people.
Yeah.
And like, I do it, just something new. And I'm glad I didn't, because TikTok has filters for everything. So I put those bleach filters on my eyebrows. Not for me. So
yep.
I'm glad that I decided not to. But yeah, that was one trend that really, like, it was super out there that I was like, I kind of want to try it, but I'm definitely glad that I did not.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We love the honesty. Okay, so for our beauty professionals who are listening to this podcast, who are maybe like me, not great at TikTok, what are some like pro tips in terms of like, you've said, like, hop on a trend, like look into stuff, like what are your thoughts to like break into, to ease their way into the platform?
Yeah, I would just say post a lot. TikTok is one of the only apps where you can post a lot and it's not annoying, because people are looking at you and they want to see more videos and more stuff. So I think that, because not everything hits the For You page. So you might post 5 videos, but only one of them show up to people. So I think that putting more videos out there gives more opportunity for people to see you and see your account. So just posting like authentic stuff to make your audience also engage and like you as a person, I think is the best way to go. And not just following the trends so your videos go viral, which can come easier than being authentic in your videos going viral. So I think just being true to yourself and posting a lot is kind of my best advice. Okay.
No, that makes total sense. And again, coming from a pro like yourself, I'm sure people are going to be appreciative. If I were braver, I might take that advice.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So let's talk a little bit about TikTok for marketing. Again, you've got a communications background, which is incredible. And we've talked about brand partnerships and how you've said you've even noticed how like cool it can be when there's integration and discovery happening on the platform. So how do you think maybe salon pros, like salon owners, might use TikTok for business?
So I think, again, engaging with your audience, whether or not that's through social media or through whoever's sitting in your chair or whoever you're helping give your service to, that like interacting with them and seeing their perspective on things, and then allowing that to, affect what you're putting out there, whether that is hair or a video on TikTok. So just engaging with people and hearing other people's opinions and perspectives broadens yours. So, you might be in this part and then they might be on another section. So then you have such a vast now opportunity to engage with people and post what you want and do what you want. And I think, just engaging with whoever you're interacting with in any aspect of anything is kind of the best way to go.
Engagement. We love it. So you, in that vein, have, as we've talked about, established yourself on TikTok specifically, big audience, lots of engagement around your content. When you're engaging with folks, how much do you give? How much is it like what you want to put out there versus what they want from you? Has there ever been an instance where you're like, I'm kind of sick of that, I don't want to do that anymore, but they are really into it? I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah, I actually struggle with that a lot. Being not so much authentic, because I feel like everything I do put out there is authentic, but aiming it towards one audience versus what I actually genuinely want to post that day. And people love my family. They love my siblings. There's 4 girls. We all look alike and everyone's fascinated by it. So when I'm with them, I'm like, you know what? Let's just post a video all together. It'll blow up. They like it, blow up. And then I get home later and I'll post a video of just myself and it might not get as many views. And that definitely, stabs me a little bit, because I'm like, oh, well, then they don't, like me, they like my sisters. So then it turns into that. So I think finding a balance of like, I love posting videos with my sister, so I'm gonna do that anyways, but I also need to make sure that everyone that's following me knows this is my account and this is gonna be mostly me. And if they don't like it, then they should go, follow my siblings too, type thing. So it is hard. And hairstyles that I might like that I post might not be, what everyone else likes, or just stuff like just doing what you want to do. It is hard because this industry, you feel successful when you have more views and more likes, when necessarily it's not always true, because you being you and putting stuff out there might not get as many views or likes, but it's gonna narrow in the audience that genuinely likes you instead of everyone.
Yep. All right. Well, that makes total sense to me. And I appreciate, again, the honesty, because you've dealt with this. This is your life. You're doing this. Last thing before we get into our quick takes is a question about what you talked about in terms of brands coming to you. I'd love to understand, like, what is that process like? Or is it a situation where like you've got a lot of direct messages requesting to connect and do things? How discerning are you in terms of like what you take on with your team? I'd love to understand that.
So, like I said, I've been with my agency for about a year now. And before this, I was kind of taking not everything that I got, but most things that I was like a little bit interested in. I would take almost everything, just because one, I didn't know my worth with my posting. So I was trying to make as much money without realizing like I should be getting paid more by doing 1 or 2 brands. So I would take on like 10 when I really need to. So once I signed with my agency, they became like, listen, like your rate so much lower. So that you need to, we're going to work on that. And so once I realized, okay, like my content's actually worth more than what I'm saying, and I can actually pick and choose what brands I want to work with instead of just taking everything that comes my way. It really cleared everything up for me. So now I take the brands that I want, and we do, if they aren't going to pay enough or I don't like the brand, like we do set them aside and then not completely scratch them off, but we kind of put them off to the side, do the ones that I want. And if we can, negotiate something or talk through the brief or what they want, then we will reconsider. But so I've just been becoming more cautious of what I'm doing, especially like I don't want to take on any brand deals that I don't align with. So
you got a brand to protect. That makes total sense. So in terms of our listeners who are out there that are maybe building up their own brands and are interested in working with companies, what advice do you have for them? Like, how do they get on the radar of marketing teams that are out there?
Yeah, don't be shy to reach out. That's kind of like my number one thing. Because brands, so I think people don't understand that there's a lot of gifting opportunities, and brands don't lose money by doing that. They only gain money, because if you have any sort of audience at all, you're going to post about it and people will see it. So I think that I know I have some friends too that, want to start getting and posting more and just doing stuff like that. And I was like, just reach out. You don't understand how many brands would love to send you stuff and to work with you. So that's kind of like my tip. And then just post organically. Like if you go buy something and you're like, wow, I really like the shampoo, post about it, because that brand might see it and they might DM you and be like, hey, I love that you're posting that. We got, 10 people bought it from, like, stuff like that. I just think being real and not being shy and just putting yourself out there, because this business is all about putting yourself out there.
Well, in the spirit of putting yourself out there, before we get into our quick takes, could you plug your channels? Let's make sure. I mean, obviously a lot of people already know who you are, but if they don't, how can they find you?
So my Instagram is Mackensie Mintz with 2 Z's, and my name is Mackensie Mintz, Mintz with 2 Z's. Kind of mismatched, last name, first name. And then my TikTok is Mackensie R Mintz. And then I also use Pinterest. Same thing, Mackensie Mintz on Pinterest, Visco, Snapchat, all of that. They're all the same. And they're all linked. If you find my Instagram, you'll be able to find out everything else because they're all linked to my bio.
Amazing. So, and we're going to link to everything in our show notes as well. So no problem. We want to make sure that you could let everybody know where to find you. All right, now let's get into our quick takes. These are the questions that we ask of all of our guests. So don't hold back, but don't think about it for too long. The first question that we've got: what was the first ever product, beauty or hair related, that you remember owning? We're product junkies on this podcast.
So, the first, I only have been blonde for about 3 years now. So
Okay.
prior to that, I did not really care much about my hair. If I'm being honest, I just kind of let it go, do its own thing. It was natural. The first product I remember buying was the Fanola purple shampoo. And that is actually the one that turned my hair purple. And I kept it, no shade, because I kept it for a while and I thought it was cute. I also probably using too much and leaving it on for too long. So that's probably also user error. But I did, Fanola was my number one for a while. I remember that one.
Okay, amazing. All right, are you superstitious? And if so, about what?
Honestly, no. I am very everything happens for a reason. It's gonna happen if it's gonna happen. I try to not be superstitious because I feel like I'm an overthinker. So if I did that, my brain would not stop.
Makes sense.
So, yeah.
All right. So you are obviously in the business of creating content, including yourself. But if there were a biopic about your life, who would you want to play you?
So I get this a lot actually on TikTok that I look like, in some videos, I look like Margot Robbie. So if I were doing like an adult life of myself, I think I would pick her. But kid, I'm not sure. But she would definitely be adult.
Margot Robbie's a pretty good choice. We love that.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you consider to be the ultimate comfort food?
I love pasta. Yeah, that's hands down.
Excellent choice. Popular choice on this podcast.
Really?
All right. Last question that we've got for you. And keep in mind, you're like not going to starve. You have water. Like, let's be clear about those things.
Okay.
But you're on a deserted island and you can only bring 3 beauty products. What are they? Again, we're product junkies. We all want to know what everybody's using.
Like, are we talking about like anything or just like makeup?
The 3, like you have to have these things. It could be any category.
Any
category? You can only bring, yep.
Well, I'm going to go with probably deodorant. That's
fair. That's fair.
To be brought. I'm also going to probably pick dry shampoo.
Any brand in particular? Is there something you're especially into? It's okay if not.
I love the Amika. They are by far like my favorite dry shampoo. So I'll probably do that. And then I'm going to say body wash so I could, clean myself off a little bit.
Smart. We love that.
Yeah.
Okay, Mackensie, it was a pleasure. Thank you for coming on the Volume Up podcast.
Thank you so much. This was so fun.